Congratulations, true crime addicts. We've survived another week. It is Friday, October 3rd, 2025. This week, the yogurt shop murders have been solved. The latest on the Synagogue terror attack, and did Hunter S. Thompson really kill himself? All this and more, stay tuned.
Yes, super excited. We are all pumped to have James Renner.
James Renner on.
That James Renner has zeroed in on.
James Renner once again drops a bombshell.
Investigative journalist, reporter, James Renner, who's been on the podcast, longtime friend of mine.
And we're back with more true crime this week with me, your host, James Renner. I think I scared myself there for a second. It's all good. It's all good. Hey, I just want to remind you, my latest novel is being released right now as a serialized audiobook. Anywhere you get your podcasts, so Spotify, Apple iTunes. Do we still do Spreaker? I don't know. Anywhere you get your podcasts. It's being released 2 episodes every Monday, 2 episodes every Wednesday, chapters, I should say. And the story is called Violet Eyes. So you want to look for Violet Eyes by James Renner. It's a spooky haunted house tale for the Halloween season. So follow along. It's people are enjoying it. Little cliffhangers every week. And also this last week, I unveiled the cover of my next true crime book. It's called A Cruise to Nowhere, My Search for Amy Lynn Bradley. That case got very popular after the Netflix special earlier this year. That comes out next summer. Pre-orders are coming up, but I like the cover. It's I'm very happy with it. I'm excited to show you that I had lots of adventures, many adventures for that book. Can't wait to share it with you. As always, I want to thank my buddy Walter for manning the camera. Walter's just back from the midnight release of The Life of a Showgirl. I never pegged him as a Swiftie, but no judgment. I like a little Taylor Swift. All right, I like a lot of Taylor Swift stuff. Let's get to the top stories. That's what you're here for. Every Friday morning, every week, I bring you the latest true crime news, stuff you might have not heard about during the course of the week. You don't even have to watch the news. Just come here every Friday morning. I'll fill you in, get you up to speed on all things true crime. And no doubt about it, this week, the top story is the yogurt shop murders. The so-called yogurt shop murders have been one of the most popular and enduring mysteries in true crime until last Friday. In a surprise announcement, police in Austin, Texas said they had solved the case using forensics and genetic genealogy. First, a refresher, if you're unfamiliar with this case. It was Friday, December 6, 1991. 15-year-old Sarah Harbison and her friend, 13-year-old Amy Ayers, stopped into the I Can't Believe It's Yogurt shop to get a ride home from Sarah's sister, 17-year-old Jennifer Harbison, who was working that night along with 17-year-old Eliza Thomas. The store closed at around 11 p.m. with the girls still inside. Now, about an hour later, a police officer reported that the store was on fire. After the fire was extinguished, the nude bodies of the 4 girls were discovered inside. They had been shot to death with 2 guns, a .22 and a .38 Special. At least one of them had also been sexually assaulted. Few crimes rise to this level of depravity and violence, and Austin police set out to find the killer. They were relentless to a fault. Unfortunately, along the way, they focused on 4 teens and coerced confessions out of 2 of them. One of them ended up on death row, but DNA testing proved their innocence and they were exonerated. That part happened a few years ago. Fast forward to last Friday. Police now say that genetic genealogy and ballistics evidence proved that the real murderer was Robert Eugene Brashers, who died by suicide during a police standoff in 1999, according to CNN. Police also believe that Brashers was a serial killer. In 1998, the DNA sample from the yogurt shop crime scene was linked to the 1990 murder of a South Carolina woman, the shooting of a mother and daughter in Missouri in 1998, and the 1997 rape of a 14-year-old girl. So they knew all these cases, including Yogurt Shop, was connected, but they didn't have a suspect to match it to. That same DNA profile, though, eventually was traced by the genetic genealogist to Brasher's. And a bullet casing taken from the crime scene in Austin matched to the .38 special that Brasher's used to kill himself in 1999. This is one of those cases that I really never thought would ever get solved. I thought it was just going to go on forever, but this is quite a surprise, and it shows, again, the magic that is genetic genealogy. Yesterday was Yom Kippur, the holiest day of the Jewish calendar. It's a day for reflection, confession, and seeking forgiveness. And it usually involves fasting and attending prayer services at a synagogue. And in the Manchester suburb of Crumpsall in England, a man decided to mark the holiday with a terrorist attack. Metropolitan Police say 35-year-old Jihad al-Shami, a British citizen, rammed his car into a crowd outside the Heaton Park Hebrew Congregation Synagogue and then began stabbing people before police arrived and shot him dead 7 minutes later. 2 people were killed in the attack and 3 others are in serious condition, according to NBC News. London's Metropolitan Police declared it an act of terror and took over the crime scene. Worshippers prevented the attacker from gaining access to the synagogue, likely saving more lives. Al-Shami was also wearing what appeared to be a bomb vest, but police later determined it was only a prop. And I just want to be clear, I said 2 people died. 2 people died from the stabbing. Many others are in the hospital. Al-Shami wore that vest. It was just a prop, though. Now, of course, this is one of those political situations where conservatives will point to this attack as evidence that mass violence can still occur in countries without prolific gun ownership. But imagine, instead of knives, this man had been armed with an AK-47. I think the death toll would have been higher. Case in point, the final top story for today. We had a very similar tragedy play out last Sunday here in the States. Around 10:25 a.m. on September 28th, 40-year-old Thomas Jacob Sanford crashed his truck into the front doors of a Mormon church in Grand Blanc Township, Michigan. He then got out holding an assault rifle and opened fire on the congregation, killing 2 people. Sanford also set fire to the church, which killed 2 more people. When police arrived, they encountered Sanford in the parking lot and shot him dead. Several church members were taken to the hospital with gunshot wounds, but survived. Sanford was a Marine who served in the Iraq War, where he earned accommodations for his marksmanship. The motive for his attack may actually be linked to a bad breakup 10 years ago with a woman who was a member of the Mormon Church, according to the New York Times. It was clear to his friends, at least, that Sanford held a lot of animosity toward the church. And like many of the mass shooters in the U.S., Sanford was politically conservative and supported Trump in the last election. Not for nothing, but there have been 384 mass shootings in the United States so far this year. In England, by the way, there has been 1. Those are the top stories. I'm going to be right back after the break. We got to talk about Hunter S. Thompson, some goofy stories after the break. I don't know if you've heard about this Lorenz Krauss guy, but what a story. You're going to want to stick around. I'll be back in 2 and 2.
Please hang up and try again.
And we're back with more True Crime This Week, brought to you by Stark Industries, changing the world for a better future. Oh man, I've got an absolutely bonkers story out of Albany, New York this week. Last Thursday, 53-year-old Lorenz Krauss walked into a local Albany TV station, WRGB, and sat with reporter Greg Floyd for a taped interview in which he discussed how and why he murdered his parents. Franz and Theresia were their names, and those murders occurred 8 years ago, according to the New York Times. Quote, "When your parents died, did they know what was happening to them?" the reporter asked. Oh yeah, says Krauss. "And they knew it was by your hand?" Well, yes, said Krauss. He then went on to describe how he strangled his father with his hands and then used a rope on his mother. He claimed they were in failing health and he did it to save them from suffering. Krauss was promptly arrested when he left the studio. Police now say that Krauss murdered his parents sometime between July and September 2017. He then buried their bodies in the yard and continued to collect their Social Security checks. Police have already recovered their bodies. In an odd twist to the story, Krauss actually ran for president as a Democrat in the New Hampshire primary in 2020. He promised to dissolve the presidency if elected. Now look, I'm no fan of Krauss, right? Or what he did. That's a pretty good idea right about now, right? Like, I could get behind that. I like his platform. The murders, not so much, but he's got some good ideas. Another strange story. Investigators in Colorado are reopening the death of gonzo journalist Hunter S. Thompson. The official story is that Hunter died of a self-inflicted gunshot wound at the age of 67 inside his home, and the Pitkin County Sheriff says there's no new evidence of foul play. But his widow, Anita Thompson, she's requested a review, according to MSNBC. Here's a quote from the sheriff, quote, "We hope to provide a definitive and transparent review that may offer peace of mind to his family and the public," end quote. After his death, Hunter was cremated and his ashes were blasted out of a cannon. What a way to go. Here's what Hunter said about dying, by the way. Quote, "Life should not be a journey to the grave with the intention of arriving safely in a pretty and well-preserved body, but rather to skid in broadside in a cloud of smoke, thoroughly used up, totally worn out, and loudly proclaiming, 'Wow, what a ride.'" End quote. Yeah, so, he went out on a high note. I like that. If you were on the internet this week, you've seen the footage of the ICE officer who violently pushed a woman to the ground in front of her kids inside the Manhattan Immigration Court. It's all over TikTok if you're into that. The woman, who is from Ecuador, was there with her husband, who was detained by ICE officials shortly thereafter, according to CBS News. On the video, the officer is seen shoving the woman to the ground and saying, "Adios," several times. For a moment, it looked like there might actually be some justice as the ICE officer was removed from his duties. The Department of Homeland Security said that his behavior was, quote, "unacceptable and beneath the men and women of ICE." But apparently that was, not really true, as it was reported yesterday that this officer is already back at his job. I imagine his friends greeted him with several holas. Remember Greta Thunberg? She was the 15-year-old girl who went viral as a vocal climate activist. She's 22 years old now, and yesterday she was detained by the Israel Navy, according to CNN. Her crime? Thunberg was one of 500 activists who were attempting to break the blockade on Gaza. The activists were traveling in a flotilla of boats to deliver food, water, and medicine to Palestinians. The head of Amnesty International released a statement saying that the interception of the flotilla was, quote, "intended to punish and silence critics of Israel's genocide, an unlawful blockade on Gaza," end quote. No word yet on how long the activists will be held. Let's jump over to weird news, shall we? A Florida man has been arrested for, killing and cooking his 2 pet peacocks. The New York Post reports that 61-year-old Craig Vaught got mad at his neighbor because she was feeding his peacocks without permission. Vaught took revenge by having them for dinner. The peacocks, not the neighbor. Afterwards, Vaught left a letter in his neighbor's mailbox in which he described how he killed them and then fried them up in a pan. He warned her that he would continue to kill his peacocks if she continued to feed them. Vaught was charged with aggravated animal cruelty, a third-degree felony. And of all the animal cruelty stories I've ever covered, this one is probably the most foul. Is this thing on? Okay. I'm sorry. I'm here all night. Over to pop culture. The true crime documentary that everybody's talking about this week is Death in Apartment 603, What Happened to Ellen Greenberg. It's a new 3-part series on Hulu. I'm definitely going to watch this one. It's a weird case. Greenberg, if you're unaware of the story, lived in Philadelphia with her fiancé, Samuel Goldberg, and in 2011 she was found dead inside her apartment. Ellen's death was reported by Samuel, and even though she was stabbed 20 times, with 10 of those stab wounds in her back, her death was labeled as suicide. So, yeah, it's a strange one. Check that out. I'm not totally sure where I am on the case. I think I'm with you guys, but still, there's some funny business with it. So check out the documentary. The true crime book of the week is a book that came out a couple years ago, but I just heard about this week, and it's very intriguing. I'm going to pick up a copy. I recommend you do too. The book is called Our Little Secret, The True Story of a Teenage Killer in the Silence of a Small New England Town. And it's by Kevin Flynn and Rebecca Lavoie. Those names might actually sound familiar. They are the hosts of the podcast Crime Writers On. And I've known Rebecca for a number of years. She was at CrimeCon at the beginning. She doesn't go anymore. But we've been at other conventions too. Started out kind of butting heads, but over the years really came to know each other as journalists. And, I'm a big fan of hers now. So anyways, here's the write-up on the book, Our Little Secret. For 20 years, Daniel Packett's murder went unsolved. A lot of people in the small hamlet of Hopkinton wanted it that way, especially Packett's stepdaughter, Melanie, and her closest friend, Eric. It would be their little secret. What transpired next did more than reveal a crime born of adolescent passion and a young girl's desperate past. It blurred the line between guilt and innocence. It refined the meaning of loyalty, justice, and revenge, and it explored the dark corners of a peaceful New Hampshire town that would do anything to protect its own, even in the face of the most disturbing truths of all. And that is the show for this week. You join me next Friday, same bat time and channel. Every Friday morning I'm here for you. You're welcome. And in the meantime, enjoy the last days of warmth before the gloom sets in the Midwest. And that means, we got to have fun. And we gotta get down. Damn it. True Crime This Week is a Fearful Symmetry production. Photo and artwork are licensed through Shutterstock. If you like the cut of my jib, I have another podcast you might enjoy called The Philosophy of Crime, in which I attempt to solve the big questions behind our true crime obsession by looking to philosophy for answers. Thank you for listening. I'll see you next week. Sit, Brownie, sit. Good dog.